This is Nancy Drew, Worst of Blackmoor Manor. Chapter 25, The Culprit Revealed. Nancy's long string of curses was interrupted by the appearance of Jane. "Whatever you just found, it's mine," Jane said. "I'm the Penvellyn, not you, and besides, I would have found it first if I didn't have to learn all that other garbage." What?" Nancy asked. "The 12-year-old was the culprit?" "Our family treasure is a rock? No way!" Jane said. "There must be something under it." Jane grabbed the rock, which was connected to a tripwire. Nancy dived out of the way as a large iron box fell down from the ceiling and trapped Jane. "Nancy, help! Get me out of here!" Jane cried. "I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for everything." "You should apologize for making me do all those games," Nancy said. "No, I mean, I'm sorry for what I did to Linda. She's not really turning into a werewolf. I just fed her pills and hair restorer to make her sleepy and hairy. I want her to go away so it could be just me and Mummy, my real Mummy." "Another mystery solved," Nancy complimented herself. Nancy figured she could rescue Jane by using the large Aeolus statue. She pressed the buttons to make it move, but it stayed in place. "Huh? Why isn't this working? It was fine just a few minutes ago," Nancy said. The statue looked down at her. "I'm not going to help you, Nancy," it said. "What?" Nancy cried. "You've been cheating your way through all of the puzzles here," the statue reprimanded. "You broke the Mercury statue, you got water all over the conservatory, and you lied to Ethel. Why, I don't think you did one puzzle legitimately." "Hey, it's not my fault," Nancy said. "These puzzles are really hard." "Well, I'm not going to let you cheat on the final puzzle," the statue said. "You have to figure out a way to free Jane without my help." "But I'm not smart enough to do that." "Then I guess Jane is going to die," the statue said. "She only has 5 minutes of air left. Can you solve the puzzle in time?" "No!" Nancy cried. "Second chance! Second chance! Where's the second chance button?" I did not remember having a magical talking statue in this story. Chapter 26. Nancy needs less stress in her life. Nancy tried pulling the box handles again, but to no use. She wasn't strong enough to lift a heavy metal box. "There's no air in here! I can't breathe!" Jane pleaded. "I'm trying," Nancy grunted. She dumped her purse upside down on the ground, in hopes that it would have something useful. She had 2 keys, the pillar pieces, a slice of butter, a glowing rock, a paper from Nigel, and a container of hot pink nail polish. There's nothing that would help save Jane. Nancy tried using her phone to call for help, but there was no reception. She kicked the box and received a stubbed toe as a result. "I can't lift it! This thing is too heavy!" Nancy said, almost crying with frustration. "Stupid, stupid Penvellyns! Why did they set up so many death traps in their puzzle manor?" Nancy's grip on reality started to slacken as she began ranting about the Penvellyns. "Do the Penvellyns all hate their grandchildren? Is that why they built this torture manor? Half the puzzles depend on nothing in the manor being changed or moved, while the other half depend on dumb coincidences. Arrgh! Lulu the parrot has more personality and charm than all 200 of the Penvellyns put together, and she can't even move her mouth when she talks. Hugh says he's in Rome on a business trip, but I know the truth. He took the first excuse possible to get the heck out of here. Why would anyone want to live with the world's most boring historian and a creepy old woman who talks to plants more often than she talks to people? I'd run away, but I can't because there's a cloaked figure and a werewolf waiting to kill anyone who sets foot outside the manor." "That was me, actually," Jane said. "I dressed up in the cloak so I would look like Eleanor. I thought it would scare Linda. And those glowing eyes you saw work on a remote switch." "Why would you set up glowing eyes to scare someone you don't know?" Nancy yelled. "It seemed like a good idea at the time," Jane said. "That's what I mean," Nancy said. "All the Penvellyns are not so secretly crazy. It's probably because they've been taught by the weirdo Bossany family for the past 400 years. Ethel is the worst, creepiest tutor I've ever met, and I'm not talking about her out-of-proportion body parts. The door to the room opened, revealing an angry Ethel Bossany. What did you say? She asked. A wave of relief washed over Nancy. Ethel's creepy ability to appear out of nowhere had finally become useful for once. Ethel, Nancy said, I need your help. Jane is in danger. Together, Ethel and Nancy lifted the metal box off of the ground about an inch to let fresh air inside. Ethel ran to get Mrs. Drake, and all three women were able to tip the box over and save Jane. I guess I thought it was nice to let Mrs. Drake in on the Penvellyn family secrets. Yeah, it's kind of a shame she doesn't learn about that stuff in the actual game. Chapter 27, The Curse is Broken. Nancy dropped the Penvellyn meteorite on the bed. Here. What is that? Linda asked. The Penvellyn family treasure, Nancy said. The source of all their evil powers, which has been protected for centuries. It's a rock, Linda said. Exactly, Nancy said. I've been running around for 3 days solving a ridiculous series of British puzzles just to get a rock. So if you don't get out of bed this instant, I am going to scream. I can't be seen, Nancy. I've been cursed. There's no curse, Linda. The Penvellyns don't have magic powers. All they have is a rock. And if you don't leave your bed right now, I'm throwing it at you. Okay, I'm leaving, Linda said. She pulled back the curtains and got out of bed. Thank you, Nancy said. Oh, and by the way, Jane confessed to everything. What? The weird feelings you've been having? It's because Jane's been slipping Mrs. Drake's allergy pills into your food. I don't know how she did that, seeing as all the food here is made and delivered by the Boar's Head pub, but whatever. She's lucky you didn't die from what she did. I've been getting allergy pills? Linda asked. I guess that would explain why my body feels off. But what about all the hair growing on my arms? Jane put hair restorer in your hand lotion. She also put that curse in your room, Nancy said. Why? Linda asked. Why would Jane go to such great lengths to harm me? She thinks you're a bad stepmother, and she wants to be with her real mom, Nancy said. Also, I suspect that anyone who lives in the manor for a long period of time goes a little crazy. You should have seen some of the stuff they set up to protect their treasure. Nigel poked his head through the door. Did I hear someone mention treasure? Have you discovered the Penvellyn family secret? You must tell me so I can put it in my book. Sorry, Nigel, Nancy said. It turns out that the Penvellyns are just puzzle-loving recluses. There's no such thing as magic. Nancy then picked up her purse, which holds over 500 different items, and left the room. Chapter 28, The End. Dear Ned, I know I should be happy that I solved the mystery, but for some reason, I'm not. To be honest, it feels like my life is going in circles. I mean, this is the 10th time that I solved a series of puzzles that someone set up 100 years ago in order to protect a fabulous treasure. It's getting a little boring at this point. I'd like to take a break and go on vacation, except whenever I do that, I stumble across another mystery. Hugh eventually returned to Blackmoor Manor. He, Linda, and Jane have pledged to work through their problems as a family. I'm not sure how they'll do that, seeing as the problem is Jane almost killed her stepmother, but I wish them the best of luck. Nigel's history book about the Penvellyns was a huge failure, mostly because he spent 3 whole chapters describing the Mercury statue. On the other hand, Nigel's autobiography sold surprisingly well. The British Institute for Insomniacs has ordered over 5,000 copies. As for the other people I met, I'm told that Mrs. Drake and Ethel are teaming up to make a rap album entitled Potting and Plotting. It sounds interesting. I'm proud to report that I've also solved the mystery of how I'll get home when I don't have enough money for a flight. A nice man named Sherlock Holmes hired me as his part-time assistant. We solved 4 cases together, and he gave me a bonus which covered the airfare home. He said it was a reward for my work, but I think he wanted to get rid of me as soon as possible because he's jealous of my mystery-solving skills. See you soon. Love, Nancy. Okay, that's the end of Nancy Drew, Worst of Blackmoor Manor. Hope you enjoyed my silly story, everybody. Bye.